Did you know that if you look at a specific frame of the new Mario Odyssey footage, you can see Mario's
Matt,
Wowzers.
I have many questions.
Matt, you're using the wrong terminology. It's not it's crundle. Get it right.
I can't believe Nintendo's looking to appeal to Joshy Funtime's sexual acts with Mario's
For previous old-time listeners of all 14 episodes of Poodcast, because we're on 15 now, right?
Poodcast 15, Return of Pood.
Poodcast 15, now we're all gonna masturbate on camera. But,
I'm not the bit block, shut the fuck up.
So, for those who have been following since the very beginning, we've made fun of the bit block on here before, right?
I believe we have.
I'm sure we've brought it up once before.
A few times. They may have been cut out, but we've done it.
Along with Super Mario Logan. But the bit block, we here at Poodcast are not, like, interested in creating internet drama. But this is, like, the one person where we feel like it's totally okay because he's just the worst. For a little background on this guy, hello, I used to be the co-host for the Zelda Informer podcast way back when. And, one episode we had Joshua the BitBlock Thomas on, and I remember him being okay. He had some weird opinions, but it was nothing too great. Then I followed him on Twitter, and he turned out to be, like, the biggest contrarian, cynical piece of shit on the planet. Like, not even to the degree of, like, oh, he just doesn't like everything, but, like, no, he doesn't like everything, and he will find, like, he will bitch about it, even if it's nothing to bitch about, he will find a reason to bitch about it. And ever since this, I every now and then I'll look up his Twitter again and say rude things at him to fuck with him, and he'll usually block me, but I think we went a little too far this week. We might have memed him off of Twitter. He, basically...
Memed a little too hard.
Basically, after a tangent where he's like, the new Nintendo Direct sucks, Nintendo is bad nowadays, they were better during the GameCube days, which is not true in the slightest. He then recorded a video of him putting his Switch in a box in his closet, and by put it in the box in his closet, I mean he fucking chucks it, like, into the box, and then repeatedly, like, tosses it up, and basically could have nearly damaged the console. And, I mean, if you've followed the guy if you've known the guy for as long as I have, like, you know that he's not actually full of shit when he's doing that stuff, because he really is that big of a whiner. Basically, I re-uploaded the video on my, on my profile, and 600 likes and 300 retweets later, his Twitter profile's fucking gone. So, I don't know if that was the direct causation of that, but I think it's kind of funny.
It's probably a big reason.
It's probably part of it. But I have no regrets though, because the guy is a horrible human being. Like, there are like screen caps upon screen caps of him saying not even just like, I hate Nintendo shit, but also just saying like straight up like harassing. I'm not trying to be the internet cyber police, but seriously, fuck this guy. If you want to look up good screen caps, just go on NeoGAF or something. They'll probably have him there.
Go on 4chan and you can find his porn.
Yeah, you can find his nudes on 4chan archive.
You can find him dressed up as Zero Suit Samus.
You can find him dressed up as a baby. If you look at the description below, we'll have a link to the fucking tweet with him throwing the Switch into his closet. It's pretty fucking funny.
I'll put it on screen right now.
The Nintendo Switch is a great game console, so when you decide to store it away in your closet, make sure you're really safe with the way you store it. Oh god, it fell out of its sandwich.
There you go.
Thanks for editing it, Matt, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
This will be the first non-Brian edited Pood. So, if mean things are said, it's Matt's fault.
Don't worry.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna censor every swear.
Really?
Every swear.
This is gonna be ad-friendly.
Fuck! So the last Poodcast we had was what, 3 months ago? It was E3.
It was E3,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Has
a while.
much happened
It's
since then?
been a while. I started college. That's no big deal though.
Yeah, me too. Shut up. Get out of here, dummy.
I graduated college 2 years ago. I hate you all.
So I'm gonna date this video. It's like the 17th. 2 days ago, a new Metroid game came out.
Oh my god.
It's not utter shit.
We're already getting into this.
Oh my god. Matt really hates it
I
for
mean,
select reasons.
it was an inevitability at this point. I think it's safe to say this podcast is the only reason why we're recording it, other than it's been 3 months, is that we're gonna talk about Samus Returns. So, I guess we're talking about Samus Returns.
So unlike the last 2 Metroid games, this one isn't bad.
Listen. Federation Force was okay.
No.
It wasn't bad. It was just okay.
This game is just okay.
No, it's not. It's good. Shut up.
I'm in the same.
It doesn't go any further than good.
I'm in the same boat as Brian. It's good.
Samus Returns is the worst 2D Metroid. That's not a bad thing. 2D
God.
Metroids are very good.
Matt!
It's the worst of the bunch.
Matt!
For sure.
Stop phrasing things with the worst! Ah! By the way, $10 if you can guess whether my microphone peaked or not.
$10.
Oh, okay.
So over the last few days, or if you're Matt, over the last year and a half, we've been playing Samus Returns. If you don't know what Samus Returns is, it's a good game that's also a remake of Metroid 2, you know, the one that everyone forgot, that's on the Game Boy. And
It pretends to be a remake of Metroid 2.
there you go. It's a reimagining of Metroid 2. And, it's made by Mercury's team, and this is the game that Nintendo is using to see if people like Metroid again or not.
It's not, though.
Which is fine.
Metroid Prime 4 is already in development. This game doesn't even matter. Metroid Prime 4 is the one that matters. It's the one they're putting their money into.
I'm pretty sure it is a 1-2 punch situation to see what people are going to buy which type of Metroid games.
Yeah, because people really wanted Prime, but a lot of people really wanted another
People
2D Metroid.
want Prime and people want 2D Metroid, so this is a battle to see which one lives and which one fucking dies.
We'll still get 2D Metroid.
Unless both sell well, in which case, we get all sorts of Metroid again.
Which isn't bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
Because I still think, like, Super Metroid's the best Metroid, so...
I mean, it is, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I will say, though, if 2D Metroid keeps going, and Mercury's team are the ones developing it, they really need to get their act together. This game's not great. As a technical achievement, it's a disaster. As a game, it's good. It's very good. It's competently made. It plays like a Metroid game. Not one point during the game did I think this isn't a Metroid game. I thought many times this isn't Metroid 2 because it basically drops all pretenses of being a remake after Area 1 and completely changes the level design and structure of the game. But it's a Metroid game through and through.
I mean,
it's got the blood of Metroid running through it.
If you actually compare the maps to the original Metroid too, like, you can definitely see where the original maps are still in the level design. They just
You can see parts of it, but most of the level is just completely different.
No, there's like one area that's practically nothing but new, but otherwise you can see like the old environments. They just added a lot of new paths.
As I was telling Brian, it doesn't feel like they radically overhauled everything. It feels like they took areas and made them sort of branch out, almost like their Half-Life levels.
They made it like Zero Mission, where they just added a lot to it.
Yeah.
No. This is not a Zero Mission styled remake. This is just a new game with Metroid 2's premise slapped on. It does not enhance the original's level design, it replaces it.
Except what Matt doesn't realize is he's wrong. Matt, I know you're really passionate about this, but it is a Zero Mission situation.
We have a Zero Mission styled remake of Metroid 2. It's called AM2R, and it's way better. It's way better than Samus Returns as a game and as a remake.
That's all you needed, folks, to know Matt's wrong in this instance. But no, I actually went through. I compared the maps. You can definitely see where the old maps are in the current new maps. Because, well, the currently fleshed out maps. They do change a lot of areas and, like, how items are gained. Because, remember, the original Metroid was on the Game Boy. It did have a lot of restrictions due to that. And most of the changes made to the level structure and pacing are done so, the flow of progression for the player feels more natural. Like, you no longer have to go to Area 6 to get, like, all the beam upgrades. Now they just happen naturally throughout each area, so...
That's normal, though. That's, like, a thing you'd expect a remake to do. The thing that Samus Returns does, and I absolutely hate about it, it doubles the length of the game. It feels so much slower than the original Metroid 2, and that's a feat, because the original Metroid 2 is slow as shit on the original Game Boy.
I don't know if I'd say it's slower. I thought it felt through. I've been zipping through areas. I guess, like, we might as well start off this discussion with more of, like, the topic of game remakes and how we feel about those, because we live in an era where, like, we're seeing a lot of games either get remastered or remake or reimagined or whatever fucking term you want to use for them, even though they're all different terms. And I have always thought that the worst game remakes were ones that were basically ports with better graphics, but they sort of missed the point of the game, or at least if the game is still readily available, if there's not a big difference between a game that's already readily available, like, what's the fucking point of the remake? Which is why I'm okay with Samus Returns, because Samus Returns is, like, in a lot of ways, it is very, very different from the original Metroid 2, which you can still buy on the eShop and download, and hey, there you go, if you're a purist, you can play that. It's not as, like, pointless as, I don't know, like Black Mesa, where they basically just took the original Half-Life, streamlined the fuck out of it, and then just basically made, like, the combat worse. Like, Black Mesa is, in my opinion, a bad remake. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare Remastered is a bad remake. But I think Samus Returns is fine because it puts a twist on an older game, but it doesn't replace the older game.
I know Matt really
I know Matt is going to disagree with me on the replacement thing, which the floor is yours. You can
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think a video game remake should be entirely intent on preserving, updating, and enhancing the original. Really good remake that came out earlier this year. Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. It's a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, which is a wholly unique game in the Fire Emblem franchise. It's the game that plays the most different out of the entire series, and the remake preserves all of those differences. Unlike the remake of, say, the first game, where in the remake they introduced the weapon triangle system and tried to update it to play more like a modern Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem Echoes plays very, very similar to the original NES game, but it presents itself in a way that is modern and holds up against other modern games. It's beautiful. It enhances the story with new plot points that make sense, and it's, most importantly, is true to the original product. Therein lies my problem with Samus Returns. It's not true to the original product. They even rewrite the ending, which on its own isn't a bad thing. Zero Mission did that too. But they rewrite the ending for the most ham-fisted and bullshit reason. Spoilers right now. Ridley is the final boss.
Oh no, Matt, fuck you.
It's not really a surprise because they kind of showed... They teased Ridley on the Nintendo Direct right before the game came out.
Brian actually told me about it like 2 days ago. Or a day ago.
Did you re-at him?
What?
Did you re-at him?
No, because I was like... Yeah,
that would be the boss.
Yeah, I was like...
Because it's important to remember here that this was the second Metroid game when it came out. And
it's the one that no one remembers anyway.
And it was a game all about hunting Metroids. Ridley, the other bosses, they weren't like actually established to be like concurrent returning bosses. Like Ridley's importance came back with Super Metroid, which was the next game.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what's a good... Oh, I had another example I could think of. But yeah, it's kind of like... I think since the original Metroid 2, Metroid's come across like a Ganon problem with Zelda, where they're like, Ganon always has to be the villain of Zelda. So in this one, they're Ridley always has to be in Metroid. But here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing, though. Matt, I know you're really passionate about this.
Go.
My opinion on this is, I think the Ridley boss, it actually feels like a Ridley boss. Obviously, it feel, because of the way it controls, though, because you can only like parry him twice. What it ends up being is kind of a typical old school Metroid boss where you're trying to dodge enemies while shooting them concurrently. And I think what they did with the baby kind of is like a nice little callback to Super Metroid. How the baby helped you fight Mother Brain. I thought that was a nifty little thing. And I'm not sure if others will agree with me, but I think it kind of makes that fight in Super Metroid a little bit better. Because... Huh?
What?
I think it kind of makes it a little bit better in terms of, like, storytelling. Because it kind of shows you how much the baby latched onto Samus as a mother, and how much it lost itself when it went to Mother Brain, and then how much it saw itself again and saved Samus. That's just me. That's just there's...
Oh, shit.
Sorry, I slammed my water on my desk. That's me. I think it kind of helps elevate that moment thematically.
The baby.
That's just me.
Oh my god.
I do think here's the thing. I think a lot of people are gonna hate that moment with the baby helping you fight Ridley, only because people are gonna be like, the baby. Other N was all about the baby. I hate the baby.
The thing is, it makes sense in terms of the original Metroid 2 because the last Metroid, I'm going to call it that because I refuse the other M terminology.
You can always call it the hatchling.
No, fuck that. The last Metroid kind of... in the final area, Metroid 2 kind of kills everything for you anyway, so it makes sense. The thing about that final boss I do not like is it has no purpose, and I think makes the ending of the game worse. The Metroid Queen fight is very climactic. It's the end of your journey. Ridley just kind of...
He's there as
like anticlimax.
He's there as like a victory lap boss.
The way I see it is like, okay, so you guys ever played Mario and Luigi Partners in Time?
No.
Okay, well, some background then. The final boss of that game is really good. It's a really climactic final boss with like an epic score. It feels like it's truly the end. If you don't beat this boss, everything is gonna go to shit. You lose. After that boss, they throw in Bowser as a little mini game boss afterwards, where you can't attack him directly. You have to counterattack him only. It's the worst fucking thing they did in that entire game. Ridley in Samus Returns feels exactly like that. It's just the series villain in there as the final boss because they're the series villain.
Yeah, like, even though I like what the boss does in Samus Returns, I'm not gonna say it doesn't feel like the most ham-fisted shit ever. Because it really did. See, I had Ridley spoiled to me, like, going into Samus Returns, as Matt knows.
Everyone who watched the Nintendo Direct had it spoiled too.
Yeah, that's true. I had it a little bit spoiled because Matt was like, the music in the game's bad, and then I went to look up the soundtrack because it like literally leaked like an hour earlier, and I shared a clip that was Ridley fight phase 1, and then Matt was like, "Why is Ridley in the game?" And I'm like. And you see, I posted it thinking it was like from the extras CD that came with it, because I know it came with like non-Samus Returns music. It has other M music in it. So, and then Matt said that, and I'm like, oh wait, is Ridley like actually in the game? And I looked it up. Sure enough, Ridley's in the game. He looks like Barney the dinosaur. I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong at all.
And
Ridley is really stupid.
I thought it was gonna be a boss you fought before you fought the Mother Metroid, but no. It totally feels ham-fisted, like actually being the final boss. But if you play like all the way to the end, it's clear they want you to explore the rest of the game with the baby by you, because a lot of the game opens up like. There are these like certain rocks that the baby Metroid can only fight.
Yeah.
I say destroy, and you need the baby to like break through them so you can get like all these little goodies.
The game really opens up as soon as you get the spider ball, because Jesus fucking Christ, like you can just crawl.
That's the beginning of the game.
It's like a couple hours in, but yeah, like
it's 30 minutes in.
It's not 30 minutes in.
It is.
I would say it's like an hour in. It really depends on how you're playing the game, though.
Zero Mission did that as well. In the final area, you had to break back into fucking Zebus to get the rest of the collectibles. It doesn't surprise me that they did that here. It's a really stupid thing.
I think maybe what they wanted to do with it here is, because you only had the baby in the original for so short, like, you never really get to explore the rest of the area. You kind of just get, like, tunneled into this one spot. But here you can kind of just go to the rest of the map. They even give you a teleporter for that specific reason.
But, like, just escaping the planet with the last Metroid in tow is fine. It's like...
Oh, no, it's
actually fine.
I think okay, so I told this to Matt. Matt didn't really agree. I think the main reason, outside, like, Ridley's, like, the series villain and we gotta have him in there, I think the main reason they included Ridley as a boss is it kind of ties into the intro of Super Metroid, where Ridley had followed Samus and then kidnapped the baby, like, literally, like Samus is like, bye, guys, I'll see ya, then she's like, leaves, and then she gets a message. She's like, what the shit? And Ridley already got the baby. And because the way it's explained in like Samus Returns is like, after Ridley's defeat, they're like, we gotta go get the Metroids again. And then Samus had already defeated all the Metroids except the baby. And then Ridley went to the base and kidnapped the baby. I think that's one of the reasons, alongside they just want to get more use out of the baby. I know Matt was one thing. What?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say. Well, no, it's not important. Go.
I have something to say about Ridley's inclusion later. I have a theory about why he's in there. But the one thing I want to talk about. The one thing I want to talk about is how the game handles new enemies being added into the main game. Particularly a new boss fight with a Robo. AM2R did the same thing. AM2R's robot boss fight is a whole lot fucking better than this game's robot boss fight. AM2R's robot boss fight is a rotating ball that shoots lasers. This game's robot boss fight is a rotating ball that shoots lasers. I don't think that's a fucking coincidence. But in AM2R, you fight him in a large tunnel, a large vertical tunnel that you have to space jump around to dodge their attacks. In Samus Returns fight, you're just in a small room, and you have to hide in the corner of the room to dodge the enemy's attacks, and it's dumb as shit. It is a very bad boss fight. But also, a thing AM2R did that this game does not do is it introduces... It kind of retcons in enemies that should have been there. Because in Metroid Fusion, there's an SR388 habitat with some enemies there that aren't in the actual SR388. AM2R put those in the game, and I think that really enhanced it and gave it a better connection to the rest of the series. Samus Returns tries to do this with Ridley. Throwing in Ridley does not work. It's dumb as shit. The reason I think Ridley's in this game stems from a bigger reason. I think the reason this game is the way it is and is so different from the original Metroid 2 is because of one reason and one reason alone. Yoshio Sakamoto.
Do you hear that sound, everyone? It's everyone collectively rolling their eyes. I think the reason behind the game's differences compared to the original Metroid 2 and AM2R is pretty simple. It's more of Mercury Steam was like, hey, we want to make a 2D Metroid. And then Nintendo's like, okay, but we're not sure. Make it a remake of Metroid 2, and then you're okay.
They wanted to make it a remake of Fusion first. You can see, like, some of those elements in the gameplay, like how easy it is to bomb jump now and how easy it is to wall jump.
They literally have a gameplay mode called Fusion mode when you beat the game.
Yeah, it's like this game was a Fusion remake at one point. And the mechanics represent that.
It would also make more sense why it's more in line with the GBA Metroids than the...
Yeah.
It's more in line with Fusion than Zero Mission, though. Zero Mission undid a lot of the changes that Fusion did. Those changes that Fusion did are in full force in Samus Returns. Because they probably just took the core systems from the Fusion remake and just slapped them in without changing them. Yoshio Sakamoto. The reason I think he's behind the overall direction of this game...
It's because he was the director. You're right.
One. He's...
How could I have not seen this before?
One, he's the producer of Samus Returns. He was not... Yoshio Sakamoto was not involved with the original development of Metroid 2. It's the only Japanese Metroid game he was not involved with at all. I have a feeling he wants to overwrite Metroid 2 with his own take on it. To make it more in line with his vision for the series.
That's taking it a bit far. I'm pretty sure they slapped him on as producer for the same reason that, like, Aonuma is still the producer of Zelda. Because it's like, he's the Metroid guy, but you gotta have him on.
Even though, like, let's be honest, Sakamoto and Aonuma should, like, definitely just go do something else now.
Oh, totally.
The thing is, though, with video games, producers tend to have more involvement than, say, another medium like film. They tend to be more directly involved than even the directors of the game.
Yeah, directors in video games tend to just be, like, actual team management operators.
Yeah. So it's like, Sakamoto, with how up his own ass he is about his vision for the series and Other M, seems like this is exactly the kind of thing he would do. And from pre-release material, I get this feeling like that he just wanted to overwrite the original Metroid 2.
Now, see, I'm not going to disagree saying, like, he thinks his vision's the true one, because when Other M came out, Prime series got, like, retconned to be non-canon.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, and this may fucking shock all of you, I don't want any version of this game to become the definitive version. I think all 3 versions of Metroid 2 are fine in their own right. They all have their own strengths and weaknesses, but they all deserve a place in history. Samus Returns should not take the singular slot of representing Metroid 2 in history.
But it's not.
It will.
It's
really
not at the
won't.
moment.
At the moment, it has. Maybe over time, it won't. But at the moment, it's being hailed as the perfect remake of Metroid 2 by video game critics. And I have a feeling that's because they want to give Metroid a positive review so it doesn't die again. But I just don't know how this game's gonna hold up over time. I don't think it's gonna last that well.
I'm not that pessimistic about it. I'm sure. I mean, I would probably say, from my point of view, one of the reasons why people are hailing it as a great remake of Metroid 2 is because, let's be real, Metroid 2 is like the most forgettable Metroid game. It's the one that literally it's the fucking Twilight Princess of the Metroid series. Like, it's the one that everyone's like, oh yeah, that one exists, doesn't it?
No. Metroid 2 is the Link's Awakening of Metroid. It's the stepping stone between Metroid 1 and Super Metroid. It introduces a lot of new mechanics, and it's a very good game.
I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it's not like in the not many people have played Metroid 2 compared to any other Metroid game in the series. It is the black sheep of the franchise that's not named Other M. It's or Pinball or Federation Force.
Or Prime Hunters.
Yeah.
Metroid has a lot of black sheep. It's weird.
It's almost like there are only white sheep to be found in Metroid.
I don't like the way you said white.
Uh-oh.
Ryan, I didn't know you lived in Charlottesville. But,
I forgot. I was wearing my Make America Great Again hat. Let me take that off real quick.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, the thing with Metroid 2 is it's unfortunately a great game brought down by the Game Boy's hardware. And so a remake that preserves the original's feeling and level design would have been great. This is a completely new take on Metroid 2. It's different. It does not feel like Metroid 2. It feels more like Super Metroid than Metroid 2.
Yeah.
And
feels like fusion.
That's either a good or a bad thing depending on what stance you take on this. I think it's not a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
But I don't necessarily agree that if it's being replaced, because it's pretty fucking obvious that as long as the Game Boy is part of the Virtual Console on any Nintendo platform, Metroid 2 is not going to go away.
Yeah. I mean,
hell, the fact that the box art, like the reversible slipcover, advertises the fucking original Game Boy game so much, like, I think even adheres to that this is just like another version of it.
But then a little bit, but it's also like you have to remember there's like no version of Fire Emblem Gaiden to
That's
play.
what I was gonna say too. Like that, I think like Echoes and Ocarina of Time 3D and Star Fox 64 3D are more closer to their originals because you can't play those on the 3DS, and they're just trying to make them more accessible to everyone. Metroid 2, Samus Returns is on a platform that already has Metroid 2. Like, might as well do something kinda different with it while you're at it. And what they did is not a bad game. In fact, I think it's a pretty fucking good game.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Here's
the thing is, though, with Samus Returns, I'm sorry, Brian, why does it have to be a remake of 2, and why can't it just be its own game?
Like I said earlier, it's probably like old man Nintendo being like, I don't know unless we do something really safe with it.
Because remember, Mercury Steam really wanted to make a new Metroid game, and then they were like, do a remake, and they're like, we want to remake Fusion, and then Sakamoto's like, remake 2. And it seems like they might have already been in the process of remaking Fusion, as we discussed earlier. I think Samus Returns is the result of a lot of compromises between Mercury Steam and Nintendo. And I think another thing that's part of it is it's been so long since we've had a Metroid, a 2D Metroid, that they also wanted to do something really new, but they did want to adhere to being like a remake. And so what you end up with is a game that's like got a lot of old in its foundation, but a lot of new to help make it feel fresh.
It's stuck in the middle of being an old game and a new game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really benefit from being there.
I think, like, the most new part... I don't think we actually brought this up.
Yeah, we don't want to sound like broken records.
Here's a nitpick I have. I've seen, like, a few people bitching that, like, the areas in Samus Returns aren't named. They're just called Areas 1 and 2. Which... that's how it was in the original Metroid, so fuck off.
Brian, I think we know a few people have been bitching about the parry system, which I'm surprised we haven't even brought up yet.
Right? Well, anyways, I was gonna say, like, they did combine a few areas from the original. So, like, now Area 6 in the old one is Area 5 in the new one. Because they just kind of combined them. Areas 7 and 8 in Samus Returns are, like, really fucking close to the original in terms of, like, level layout and what you do in those levels, but 6 and 5, there is a lot of new there. In fact, 6 is pretty much a new area entirely.
Yeah.
Because the areas it's using from the original were really fucking tiny. Like, I'm talking about, like, a single hallway here.
So, the thing with, forget if it was Area 5 or Area 6, but in the original Metroid 2, it was basically just a hub to change beam upgrades.
That was Area 6 in the original.
Yeah, so in Area 6, in AM2R, they stripped out... They basically gutted the entire column that had the beam upgrades and included a completely new area in it. But it's the same level design as the original. The same layout. Not the same level design, but the same layout. That was something I really liked.
It's a similar layout in Area 5, but there are a lot more tunnels around it now, too. Yeah, I was looking through, just, like, seeing where it was. I did find it. It confused me for a while, because I was like, why isn't Area 6 Area 6? And I was like, oh, it's Area 5. I actually thought for a moment they made Area 5 from the original Area 2 in the new one, because they both have, like, the same structural layout on the top. Yeah, so that one kind of threw me for a loop, but okay. But yeah, Matt, what were you going to say? Is it going to be about parrying?
No.
Oh
my god.
I don't even care. It's a system that's there for babies.
I was gonna say, hold up, if Matt's actually gonna go this route and say it's a system for babies, I want to say this. I think parrying was actually introduced as a way to let people get used to the new controls with the free aiming with the slide pad. Because I noticed as the game went on, like, it gives you way less opportunities to parry. Or at least less opportunities for parrying to be effective. Like, once you hit I think it's the Omega Metroids, they don't like give you a chance to parry a lot until you break their chest. So it's actually like forcing you to actually get good at aiming.
Hell, only like an hour into Metroid, into Samus Returns, they start introducing enemies that you can't parry.
There's only one. It's the electric fish boy.
No, there are a few more.
No, there's a few more.
Name them.
The little flying green guys?
Yeah.
Okay, that's two.
So
with the parry system, I feel like the bosses do a good job of teaching a player how to free aim. With the Metroids, you have to be able to free aim, to use the ice beam to stun them, and then open them up for the parry. With the regular enemies, it has no point being there. No point whatsoever. It grinds the game to a halt, and it makes the game a lot slower.
Like I said, I think it was there so it would naturally transition you, because those snail enemies that have, like, the green gas, like...
There's a third one.
Yeah.
There's a third one.
Hold up. What am I hearing?
The baby. A baby Metroid is crashed in.
Is that the hatchling? Is that the last Metroid?
It's saying Metroid Samus Returns is a good game.
I do want to do a video on Samus. I think.
I said the parry was for babies, but I didn't mean it literally.
I was gonna say. I think a lot. I saw someone complaining. I'm not sure if it was you, Matt, because for all I know, it could have been you.
What was it?
Someone was complaining that the parry system has too large a window for you to actually.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
And I was thinking about it, and I think that might be down due to the game being 30 FPS. Because if it was 60 FPS, I think it would be a lot tighter, I guess you could say. Because there's a lot more room for player error in terms of input in 30 FPS. That's why, like, you always see Devil May Cry and Bayonetta at 60 FPS. That's you never want to do anything else.
Well, except for the remasters for some reason.
Devil May Cry, DMC Devil May Cry, kids, never forget, it ran at 30.
No, it ran at 22 with slight pockets of 30.
Oh my god.
I feel like, my thing is... Also, Matt, it's interesting to see your stance on the parrying changed, because, like, 3 days ago you were saying about how every enemy was basically a bullet sponge, which I wouldn't say that. They go down in, like...
At the beginning of the game, absolutely they're sponges.
They go down in, like, 2 shots, though. Like, just a couple presses of Y and they're already gone.
I would say it's, like, more like 3 or 4 shots early on. Like you're
I'd
actually...
say 8.
No!
I'd say 8. I just recorded footage of this, dude. It's 8.
I guess it depends on the enemy. Like, maybe the flying bats, sure. Because early on, like, your beam does feel very weak in regards to enemies, so... Which is really weird, because in Super Metroid, they go down, like, fucking fast.
I feel like the
every
parry
game
system
they go down fast.
was not meant to be relied on so heavily as people are claiming it to be. Or like... I think it's just there to... It's to be there in a pinch, just in case, like, things start getting more hectic on screen.
So here's the thing about that. It's absolutely meant to be relied on. Because you are incentivized by better drops, more drops, if you execute it, than if you just kill them. You kill them, like, say, Brian says this is a good strat, to use the ice beam and shoot them with a missile. You get less drops from that. With parrying, not only do you get energy drops from executing the parry properly, you get health, energy, and missiles from killing the enemy after doing a parry.
I can't believe it's the glory kill system from Doom 2016.
Matt's gonna so hard right now.
I can't believe this game is as bad as Doom 2016.
I can't believe Samus Returns and Doom are good games.
Speaking of Doom, Doom Amiibo.
Are we gonna move on?
Hold up. Final thoughts about Samus Returns.
It's fine.
It's a 10 out of 10 experience. I don't care, no.
I think it's a good game. I think if you get hung up on the whole Metroid 2 remake part, you're not gonna have a great time. You're gonna pizza when you should have French fried. As someone who plays the old video games, I'm not really fazed because it's on my fucking home screen. I can play Metroid 2 whenever I damn well please. But I think as a new Metroid game, which is definitely what they were mostly trying to go for, it's good. It's definitely above average. It's definitely something I would recommend to people who want games for their Nintendo 3DS Super System.
I think it's a really good alternative to the original Metroid, which I'm not sure if people got it from my preservation video, but I think remakes and remasters should only ever be like alternatives to the original. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we could spend the next 30 minutes basically having the same exact discussion about Yakuza Kiwami and probably end on the exact same point.
Yeah. Speaking of Yakuza Kiwami, that was
fucking
really good.
I
didn't. You go on, Matt.
Samus Returns is a good game, but I don't think it'll stand the test of time. It won't be remembered by the laurels of history. It'll be forgotten in a few years.
So, I think if they do port Samus Returns, though, they are gonna have to do something about like the free aim system. Know what I mean?
No. The way it works in the game right now is actually 10 out of 10 perfect. It's the best change they made to the combat. Dual analog free aiming would ruin the game. Not only would you have to remap all the buttons, you can't fucking use the fire button with the second analog stick at the same time. It would completely kill the whole risk-reward system going on with the free aim, which is you can't move, but you can aim more precisely. So if you feel like you've got enough distance from your enemy to take them out and aim at them, you can do it. But if you misjudge it and you go into free aim and then you get hit, there you go, you fucked up.
I mean, free aim is just kind of a workaround to like how Super Metroid could let you freely aim up or down diagonally in the original.
I think free aim is the natural progression to that.
Yeah. When I said like I think they'd have to rework it, what I kind of really meant was I think they'd have to work it into like actually having that up and down movement, because I think like having it be snappy like that is really good, and someone might want both. Because when you're moving diagonally, you can only aim like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you can only aim like that when you're moving, is what I mean. I don't know why I had trouble saying that.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, I think the controls are like surprisingly good. Like when I first played them, I was kind of like, this is weird. But when I started to think about it in terms of Super Metroid's controls, I was like, oh no, this is actually like a really good alternative to it.
Usually I'm a stickler for these things, but like I don't think it's as much of a technical disaster as Matt is saying. I think the game plays fine even for a 30 FPS game.
It feels really smooth for a 30 FPS game. I also like how the beam button swaps are right there within thumb's reach. And I like how if you tap the bottom screen, you immediately go into morph ball mode. So during that boss fight that gave Matt a shit ton of trouble, the robo fight, when I told him the secret is to just spider ball on the ceiling.
Yeah, he told me, and then I beat it first fucking thing.
Yeah, I would. Whenever I saw it getting ready to do like its tunneling attack, I would jump all the way to the ceiling, tap the morph ball, tap the bottom screen to go into morph ball, and then I just latch onto the wall and stay like between the second and third spikes on the ceiling from the right, and then it would just like never hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that boss fight though actually had like a surprising amount of logic to it. Like you could if it was using its like vacuum attack, you could spider ball on the ground and it wouldn't suck you in. Like I was actually surprised that worked when I tried it, and then you could just sit there spamming bombs. Like yeah, I was actually surprised how much logical sense it made. It kind of surprised me a lot. The part where it's chasing you, the third part, that feels kind of fucking cheap, but you can beat it in like 2 or 3 tries, so it's not a big issue in my opinion. I like that the other Metroids are still like their difficulties impacted by the environment. The Omega Metroids are like the only ones that don't adhere to that because they're all like the same boss, but you only fight like 4 of them, so it's fine, right? It doesn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's like actually a lot of good design in here. There are some issues, but I think most of those issues are brought up by putting it in relation to the other two Metroid 2s, one of which is a fan remake. Because on its own, this is a really fucking good game. Yeah, that's all. No, let me tell you about Yakuza Kiwami. Oh my god, it's so good, you guys.
It is good, but we'll just have the same fucking discussion about it.
The one part I hated of Yakuza Kiwami the most of all was the free aim system, and especially when you fight Ridley. That gave me a big issue, guys.
It is true, they did add free aiming because the original Yakuza had fixed camera angles.
No! Call it, no, it was a joke.
History repeats itself.
I can't believe Yakuza Kiwami is the worst PlayStation 4 game of all time.
I will fucking rewrite
Also, in reference to Metroid Samus Returns art design, I just wish it had a few more defined edges. Other than that, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, the only part that, like, really gets, like, dull is probably Area 5 and a bit of 7 with 6, because it's just kind of like this murky, poisonous-looking area.
I would say the only weak parts of Metroid Samus Returns' art design is the texture work. It's awful on everything, but that's the 3DS, whatever. And the bloom. The bloom's fucking everywhere. It's on everything. I don't understand it. It looks bad.
It's not like a super noticeable bloom. I mean, you can recognize that it's there, but it's not like... We're not talking like Shadow of the Colossus or Wind Waker HD bloom.
We're not talking about Battlefield Bad Company 2 bloom. Where the entire screen is white.
Okay. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, speaking of Doom Amiibo.
What?
So let me preference, because we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct. And
speaking of the most disappointing game from last year.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Speaking of games Matt never played. So
now one of these is just not factual.
You're right, we're not speaking of Matt. We're speaking of games Matt never played.
Yeah. But so I went to so there was a Nintendo Direct over the last week, Wednesday night to be exact, and I did something I haven't done in a while, which is go to Nintendo New York to go watch the Direct. And let me just say, if you're in the New York area, you should do that. Even if you're not a big Nintendo fan, like, the fucking air is always electric during those fucking Directs, because those people will scream in excitement about anything. Fucking Reggie could go out and be like, Zelda's canceled, and people will be like, whoa! Holy shit! And just like, my pants are moist! My pants are moist!
Did they scream about the old man talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for 10 minutes?
Yeah, they were pretty hyped about that. But,
oh my fucking god, no!
Usually, I'm not one to get super sucked in to like, the fucking screaming and the hollering or anything. But let me just say, when I saw the words Doom and Wolfenstein 2 on the screen, I literally almost melted into the floor. And I'm pretty sure somewhere out there is video evidence of me, like, reacting to the announcement. Because every person, for some reason, always brings, like, 3 cameras to the fucking Nintendo Direct to record live reactions. But, I think otherwise, we'll talk about at least some of the announcements that were made during the Direct, because I personally think it was not super overwhelming. I think for the most part it was like, yeah, we kind of know, but if we don't mention Doom and Wolfenstein 2, I feel like we'll be missing out on something important, because they are kind of important.
Yeah. I think it speaks a lot that Bethesda's, like, going in despite, like, Skyrim not being out yet, while Capcom's still like, oh, we gotta do tests on the Switch.
I do want to mention, this is something I noticed online. Nintendo is publishing Skyrim. This is something we've known for a long time. But, contrary to what Brian, Matt, and I were talking about a few days ago, Bethesda is actually publishing Doom and Wolfenstein 2. It's not Nintendo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They didn't pay for these ports? Jeez.
I guess maybe not. Interestingly enough, Octopath is being is being published by Nintendo in the West.
Yeah.
Well, they do that. They do that for a lot of like games.
Yeah.
They do that for a lot of RPGs, like obscure Japanese games.
Yeah.
They publish them in Western territories. It's normal.
I think here's a weird thing in my opinion. I think Nintendo's actually publishing it worldwide. I haven't seen anything say that Square's publishing it in Japan. But I did notice that it does seem to... I thought that maybe that meant like Octopath was a Nintendo IP, but based on what I see, it seems to actually be like it is owned by Square. But Octopath is really good, kids. You should really play it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Just actually grind. Don't just speed run through it like I nearly did.
Yeah, get to level 6, go back to the town, buy some armor and new weapons. If you're playing as Primrose, seduce this guy in a white flannel t-shirt on the top left of the screen. He'll make that final boss so much easier. If you're playing Ulbrich, you're good. It feels like there are so many issues I had with Bravely Default. Like a lot of people said Bravely Default was like a 9 out of 10, not a 9 out of 9. People were like, it's a return to classic Final Fantasy, and I'm like, I feel like this is a better return to classic Final Fantasy, despite not being like it at all. It's more like the Saga series. So,
I felt like the design of the areas in the Octopath demo could have been a little better.
Yeah,
because
way too compact.
So let me explain the story before we go back to the direct. Let me explain my story of me playing Octopath. So I downloaded the demo, I booted it up, I was playing through it, no problems, watching every single fucking cutscene that was thrown at me, and then the game finally gave me free will, and I walked down the basically linear path the game gives you, and then I got to a cutscene. And then I got to a big old boss that has like 1 billion fucking health points, and it wrecked me every single time. And I was like, what the fuck? Because I was playing the game exactly as it wanted me to, and I was like getting wrecked every single time. I was like, what the actual fuck is going on? I was getting real mad, real salty. It was then I learned that like, oh, I'm actually level 2, and the game wants me to be level 6. The problem being is that the small, and I do mean small, area that the game allows you to go through before getting to that boss, you can actually get through in like not even a minute with only maybe one random enemy encounter. So it's kind of weird when the game finally like lets go of your hands after 30 minutes of story, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need to fucking farm, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really explicitly tell you so. I wouldn't say this is a bad thing or like a flaw, but it's definitely bizarre, but I'm sure it's like a demo thing, because I doubt the actual game is going to be like that.
Yeah.
They definitely want to cram in, they definitely wanted to cram in as much stuff into the demo, and they were just like, this is the least time consuming way of doing so.
Yeah.
It's
the
pretty.
area, like I said, the areas are way too small for because
they really do just give you a small room, and they just go like, just walk around. I had to walk around in circles to actually get the enemy encounters.
Like I said, the areas are too small, yes, but you do have to do a little bit of exploring. But I also really hope that they introduce a Bravely Default style enemy encounter slider.
Yeah,
that lets you like turn encounters all the way the fuck up, or like just make it so you get none at all. Because that's it. That's it, kids.
Yeah,
that's all.
But Doom and Wolfenstein 2. So, I mean, I was excited because I fucking love Doom. The original games are like, oh, they're my favorite games of all time. They're like 10 out of 10 perfecto. You really can't beat them. Doom's a fucking great announcement for me. I mean, it's a great announcement for two reasons. A, it's the first like current generation AAA big budget like big engine tech demo game to come to the Switch. And B, it's also a game that's just real fucking good. It's the game of the year of last year. That's there you go. But Wolfenstein 2, I think, is the more interesting announcement of the two, because that's a game that's not even out yet.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna get it a little bit late on Switch, like it's coming out next year.
It's 2018, which probably means like March.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. I'll probably get that version. I'll probably also get the Switch PC version.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna double dip for Doom because I like the game, and I honestly would not mind playing through it again while I have like time off at school or in bed. But I think the other reason why Doom is going to be really interesting on the Switch is I wonder if the multiplayer will take off.
I would hope so.
I doubt it.
If anyone out here knows Doom 2016's multiplayer, it has kind of a backlash towards it, which I think is unwarranted, though I get it, because it plays nothing like the single player, and I'm sure a lot of people were hoping for like a super Quake-type multiplayer, and what they just got was like a Halo that's better than Halo. But there's not really any games like that on the Switch, like, at all.
They did remove Snap Map. But...
They did remove Snap Map, and I am a little peeved about that, because I liked Snap Map. I don't play it much, but, I mean, new multiplayer and single-player content is something I am totally all for. And now that they're kind of taking that away, it's like, but I'm sure it's to save space on the hard drive, because what we do know is that the single-player campaign's on the cartridge, and that the multiplayer will be an update.
Yeah, I feel just by the virtue of the multiplayer being a separate download, it's probably not going to take off.
I don't know about that, because most of the assets will probably be on the cartridge anyway. I don't think the multiplayer is going to be a huge download, but I guess we'll see. I don't fucking know. It'll probably be like 16 gigs.
I think it's going to go the way of Black Ops 2 on the Wii U, where there'll be like a few hundred dedicated people playing it every day, playing Doom multiplayer every day on the Switch, but just a few hundred. I
mean, there's also
like no
not...
other...
Yeah, I mean, that's not totally unreasonable for a console that also just released this year. But I don't know. I think a lot of people are looking forward to Doom because people know Doom is a good game, and it seems like such a perfect fit for the Switch. But I would like to see. Who knows? Maybe they can include local multiplayer, and we'll see fucking Doom LAN matches in portable mode.
I think that is actually something that would be really cool.
I would totally be down for that, because that is basically the Halo multiplayer experience, like, copied onto the Switch. But I guess we'll see. I don't know.
I mean, people already do it with Splatoon 2, and that's, like, actually really cool.
Yeah. I don't know about I mean, I'm definitely getting Wolfenstein 2 on PC. I don't know if I'd get it on the Switch, because it's a single-player only game. No need to pay $60 for that again. Especially if the game especially if the game doesn't end up being good, which I doubt, but you never know.
Hey, Colin.
You never know with these things. What?
What about Amiibo in Doom?
So everyone's been talking about what Amiibos could bring to Doom, and I'd fucking like it.
One suggestion I had was you tap white suit like wedding Mario amiibo, and Doom Guy gets a Mario mustache and a Mario hat. You can't even see it, but like maybe there's like a mustache obstructing the lower half of the screen.
See, I think my suggestion was you scan the Duck Hunt Dog amiibo and they replace the pistol with the NES Zapper.
Yeah, that was another one.
That'd be good.
We also went a little bit further. We said if Fallout 4 was on the Switch, tap Duck Hunt Dog and replace dog meat with Duck Hunt Dog.
I hope that in Doom 2016, if you scan the Link amiibo, you get a Breath of the Wild Link outfit, Master Sword, and Hylian Shield, just like my favorite game of all time, Skyrim.
You can actually replace the chainsaw with the Master Sword. It's not a broken system.
They'll replace it with like the Warhammer Lancer that has the fucking, it's like the sword with the moving blades.
I know there were people saying like make the Doom guy costume like the Samus Aran suit.
Yeah.
Which one? I don't know. It'd probably be the Varia suit. There were a lot of people like throwing out ideas though. It was really fun.
I mean, I doubt they'll do amiibo support, but it'd be pretty cool. There's a lot. I think that's like one of the things I'm really looking forward to of all these fucking ports that are coming to the Switch, the Nintendo port machine, is that like it really opens up the opportunity to do a lot with these games, even if they're older. Like you can always add more to them, and it'd be really cool.
Another thing on the Direct announcement was not made on the Western Direct.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, this is
a franchise that has been dormant for 4 years is coming back next year for a new game. It's Dylan's Rolling Western. They're not the best games. They're quirky. They're fun. They're good. But they never had the chance to really take off. They had 2 releases, one 2012, one 2013. And then they just kind of stopped. They disappeared. New game coming out next year. It's called The Dead Heat Breakers. It's post-apocalyptic Dylan's Rolling Western game. It looks dope as shit. It's currently only slated for Japan.
And I'm gonna import it.
The 3DS still has region locking, which means if you don't have a Japanese 3DS, you cannot get it because it's an eShop game. Also,
I mean, it's totally possible that they might bring it over. Like,
yeah, it is. It just got announced, and it's not releasing until next year. But it's weird that it was on the Japanese Direct and not the other ones.
You know what was a fucking crazy Japanese Direct announcement? Phantasy Star Online 2 for the Switch.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
That's something. I wonder if it'll be geo-locked on the Switch.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They announced the first Dragon Quest Builders, which meant I immediately went into my basement and threw out my PS4 copy.
Yeah. I can't wait for that game.
I can't wait to throw out my PS4.
If you don't know already, Dragon Quest Builders was my game of the year last year.
I think you've already talked about this in Pood.
Yeah.
What was it, the second episode?
It was the first, I think.
I didn't see the Minecraft... Well, okay. The Minecraft announcement was one of those things where I'm like... In the back of my mind, I've always been expecting it. I just never thought I'd actually see it.
Yeah.
I never expected it until they showed the words craft on your 3DS on screen or some shit like that.
When I saw that again, and I just was teleported to fucking 2013 when Notch was like, "Oh yes, Minecraft 3DS, I want to do it." And I was just like, "Oh, that'd be interesting if it happened." And then like 4 years later, I'm just like, "Oh, he didn't even do it, but it happened."
You guys think the worlds are gonna be like 10 blocks wide?
They're actually larger than the Wii U version. I'm not fucking with you. My Discord correspondent, not a pigeon, has confirmed that yes. Well, 2 things. A, it's not going to be compatible with the cross-platform update because, yeah, that makes sense. And B, yes, the world will actually be larger than the Wii U counterpart.
Oh my god!
Which, yeah.
I can't believe the Wii U died in a dumpster fire.
The world sizes in the new 3DS version of Minecraft are 2016 by 2016 and 128 blocks high, which are, yes, exceed the sizes of the maps in the Wii U version.
That's so fucking funny.
That's so damn weird.
It is weird. I think my biggest problem with the Direct was that there was a lot of, like, yeah, we know. And not even like, oh, they're drudging up details and they're just taking forever to do it, like with Xenoblade 2. It really was down to, like, they showed us Morphe's Law again.
Which, I am, like, apparently the only one here excited for it.
Which, that's fine, but they said as much in this Direct as they did in the Nindies thing, like, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, and the same thing with Rocket League. They didn't really tell us anything more about Rocket League than they did at E3.
Yeah, it seemed... I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it seems like it was mainly there for people who hadn't watched those, who only watched the Directs. Because Tokyo Game Show's in a few days, and Nintendo always does, like, their big... They do their big Direct right before the Tokyo Game Show, because they're not actually part of it.
They were probably holdovers from probably the Japanese Direct. And they were just like, oh, we'll just keep them in here to, you know, keep parity, because they're Western games. But, I mean, did they announce anything else? New Kirby games, they look fine.
DDD's ripped as fuck.
Snipper Clips is getting a physical copy, that's cool.
Nintendo reminds us that Xenoblade is not fun to watch, but it is good to play.
Yeah, they dragged that out for way too fucking long.
I have no idea how they thought an old man droning on about gameplay mechanics for 10 minutes was a good way to sell their game.
Xenoblade's a game that's good when you show, but don't tell.
Xenoblade's a good game unless you're watching it.
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey still looks fun. Matt thinks it looks like Sonic Colors.
What the fuck?
No, I thought Mario Odyssey... There's a single world in Mario Odyssey that I think looks like Planet Wisp from Sonic Colors. Yeah. But I don't think the game looks like Sonic Colors.
I know.
Oh shit, we forgot about the second best announcement of the Direct, which is the Arcade Archive stuff. Finally, I can actually play an arcade-perfect port of Donkey Kong on a fucking Nintendo console.
And Mario Bros, not the awful NES versions.
Yeah.
What about the biggest one, Punch-Out, with the 2 screens?
Oh no, I don't like that game very much. I like Punch-Out a lot, but arcade Punch-Out is like... I can't even say it's dated, it's just awkward.
I've never played it, so that's why I'm actually looking forward to it.
Get ready to spend $9 on it and see what the whole world is kind of okay with missing all these years.
Mario Odyssey was something I was looking forward to a whole lot. Still am. I'm going to play it whenever I get a Switch, but recently they've come out and said that there are going to be 600 moons, and that has me very worried.
I don't think that means it's going to be like Breath of the Wild tier. I think it just means like...
It's going to be Donkey Kong 64 tier. Hell yeah. Oh, man.
Because from the looks of it, it looks like they hid moons in like the weirdest fucking spots, but it also depends on the frequency of them, so yeah. For all you know, there could be two moons right by each other, but you just don't know how to get to the second one.
I miss when we could just have 128 of the MacGuffin collectibles and just call it a day.
Don't you mean 120? Get it fucking right. There's stars.
Oh, shit. No, it's 121. Shit. We're wrong. We're both wrong.
Wait, what the fuck? Breaking news. So, there's gonna be 2 versions of Resident Evil Revelations for the Switch in Japan.
Huh?
What?
There's gonna be... Wait, what the fuck? There's gonna be the Biohazard Revelations Collection, which is both games. And then there's Biohazard Revelations Unveiled Edition, which is just the first one.
Okay, I figured that's what was gonna happen.
Okay.
I guess they really want to make good on making those cartridges of just the first game and not the second game. Thanks.
Thanks, Nintendo.
Thanks, Capcom. Oh, speaking of mistakes on the Switch, I bought the green and pink Joy-Cons. Let's see how that goes.
Oh, wait. That's a secret. That's a super secret.
Yeah,
What?
I think I know where you're going, and I want to say stop.
What were you guys gonna talk to me about on Pood? There was a thing that you guys were gonna talk to me about on Pood.
Was there?
Yeah.
What did we say?
It was like a surprise that you were saving for me for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
From last night.
No, that's for a future Pood.
Oh.
You said it so sultrily, like, ooh. Train traffic.
I will say this, you might want to buy yourself a Payday 2 mask.
What? Am I gonna have to rob a bank?
No, you're gonna steal some hearts.
Oh.
Ooh,
Everyone,
traffic.
I hope you're all looking forward to the Halloween special of Poodcast. Webcams and everything.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Well. Oh, okay. I'll be waiting for that then.
Brian, do you want to talk about a topic that Matt has no... Fuck, I kicked over my subwoofer. There we go, it's fixed. Do you want to talk about a topic that... Yeah, we're going to talk about... Because we didn't talk about Splatoon 2. I don't think we've ever talked about Splatoon 2. Even when, the betas were happening, we didn't...
Yeah, we
the
didn't.
Test fires. I don't think we ever brought up Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 is a game that is... adds more things to the original, but doesn't necessarily improve on it, I think is the long and short of it.
I was going to say, it improves some things, it changes things up a little bit, but not nearly enough to the point where it feels like a warranted sequel. You know what I mean? It's
to me, I think the biggest problem with it is that I think as far as content goes, there's sufficiently enough to say that, yeah, it is a good follow-up to Splatoon. It does feel too close for comfort in some areas. Like where it's yeah, I'm just playing the same game again, aren't I? But I think a lot of the changes towards your little ultimates, whatever they're fucking called in Splatoon, your ults, the changes to that, yeah, the changes to being able to customize what you wear a bit more. I like that. It's got a good single player campaign. All that stuff's pretty good. I think the problem that really gets me is on the technical side of things, because holy shit,
the tick rate.
Nothing has changed, or it's worse. You still can't join up with your friends.
Yeah.
You still can't lobby up with your friends. You still have to do that thing where well, they made it a little better. Basically, when a friend joins a match, you can now kind of queue up on them, which you couldn't in the original Splatoon. You had to be on the mark exact to get in, or else it's nope, you can't fucking do it. Game's full. Though that means now you have to sit at a screen where it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining until you may or may not be able to play. And even then, you're still not guaranteed to play on the same team, which that's fucking dumb. But
I think it has a few benefits in some spots. It's always fun when you're playing with another friend, and then you get set up on different teams, because it kind of becomes a friendly little rivalry, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, and then you have things like the voice chat, which let's not even bother. Let's not even bother talking yet. There is voice chat, except it's only for private parties, and even then you have to do it through a fucking phone app. You might as well just do it through Discord or Skype or Uvu or MSN Messenger or whatever the hell the kids use nowadays. Whatever the hell not gamers use on their phone. Facebook Messenger. But, and then there's the tick rate, which is low. I actually learned about this recently. Brian, the test fire tick rate was actually lower than the final games.
Oh.
The tick rate in the test fire was 12.5 hertz, while the final game is 16 hertz.
What was Splatoon 1's?
25.
Okay,
Which is still not great, but it's at least close to being half of the total amount of frames per second than, like, 16 frames is.
Yeah, so if you don't know what a tick rate is, think of it like a refresh rate for your screen. 60 hertz, 60 FPS. Your screen updates 60 times a second. The tick rate is what's happening in the back end of the game.
Yeah.
It's how much the game updates on the server side. It being half, 30 is a typical tick rate for a console shooter. Being half 30 is ridiculous.
The worst part is that I totally understand why it's like that, and the reason being is because the Switch is a portable console, and they want the game to still feel very fluid, even if you're... Because, listen, I recently got the back of my Switch swapped out, and to do that, I went to my friend's computer repair shop that I work at sometimes, and once I installed everything, I played around with Splatoon 2. Where I was on the complete other side of the shop, where the router isn't, and so I only had 1 bar of Wi-Fi on the Switch, and the game still played back perfectly, and the low tick rate is... Because usually that's why tick rates are lower, is to compensate for higher pings and more spotty connections. But, I mean, this is the game that Nintendo wants to be the face of their competitive, like, esports type stuff. And if that's the situation, they can't have it be that lower. And the one thing I would really like from Splatoon 2 is an update that, if not just up the tick rate, at least include an option to play on matches that have a higher tick rate. Because it doesn't necessarily feel like the game's being more, like, easy for all players. It feels like it's punishing people who have good wired connections.
Yeah. There's a game we all like to play. It's called Rainbow Six Siege. At its launch, it was a 30 hertz tick rate on everything, including PC, which was unheard of. To be more competitive, they upped it to 50. Still wasn't enough. Now they upped it to 60, and now people are starting to think it's getting better. And
so, also I want to add to that by saying, remember when Battlefield 4, everyone was, like, saying its netcode was bad? So, I remember playing Battlefield 4 about a year ago with George and the gang, and I remember seeing server options for 15 hertz servers, and I was like... I wasn't really aware about tick rates and all that, like, 2 years ago, so I was like, oh, what the fuck is this, and what's the difference about it? Turns out, like, the original tick rate for Battlefield 4 was 10 hertz.
Oh my god.
It was 10-15 hertz, and, like, that's why Battlefield 4 had so many fucking issues at launch, was because the tick rate... The multiplayer server was only updating, like, 10 times out of 60 possible times in a second, which is not good at all.
I can't believe EA didn't want to buy better servers.
Yeah. The weird thing is, I guess to add on to it, because I think some people would ask, what's the tick rate for Mario Kart 8 and DX and ARMS? Don't fucking know. There is no information on the net about that. I mean, I kind of want to say Mario Kart 8's might actually be higher, if only because I know the game is a lot stricter about spottier connections, but it could also just be that Mario Kart 8's online is just terrible anyway, and it might be the latter. But, I mean, with a game with a low tick rate, this isn't like a John's thing, you know, like, we're not saying like, oh, low tick rate ruins the game, and it's like, it's some magical thing like having to have a broken GameCube controller to play Melee. It's definitely not... Shut up. Sorry, someone was calling me on Discord. But, it's definitely not on the same level as that, because you can feel when a game has a low tick rate, because, like, there will just be times where you have a perfect bead on a fucking enemy, and you're lighting them up, but then, like, 2 shots from them, and somehow you trade, or you die first somehow.
Uh-huh.
Or there's actually a clip going around on Twitter where someone dodge rolls with the dualies, and they dodge out of the way of a charger, but the charger still shoots the spot from where they rolled, and so they die anyway, because the tick rate hadn't updated yet again. And that's not good. That's not good. I wouldn't say that Splatoon 2 is, like, holy shit unplayable, but you really, really see when shit hits the fan. Also, for comparison, Minecraft on PC's tick rate is like 23. Splatoon 2 has a lower tick rate than Minecraft, the Java version. Otherwise, if you own a Switch and you like the first game, no reason to not buy it.
Yeah, we were playing it yesterday.
Your online experience might be a little shoddy.
Yeah, we were playing it yesterday, though, and, like, it didn't really seem to be an issue at all.
No.
Also,
yeah.
This fucking tick rate is unexcusable when they're gonna start charging for online.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that they're gonna start charging for this shit, and I mean, I want to play devil's advocate and say most of the downfalls of this system's online is because they're still working on it, but, like, that was a thing that I was really hoping for in this Direct, is that they would say fucking anything about how this online service is gonna work, because, I mean, granted they delayed it, so it's not coming out this year, it's coming out next year, but, like, at some point they need to start telling us words about how this is going down.
Yeah.
Like, friend codes are still there. What the fuck?
So I think we've exhausted everything. So that was Poodcast 15. We'll be back maybe in a week or two when the Tokyo Game Show happens, if there's enough things to talk about. And if not, we might find something to talk about. I don't fucking know.
Wait! We forgot the biggest part of the Direct!
What?
Nintendo of Europe fucking leaked Fire Emblem Warriors characters by accident. Kada and, like, I think Navarre, right? Not Navarre.
No,
Navarre.
Okay, I thought Lynn was also,
Lynn was not leaked.
Oh,
it was
okay.
in the Direct. It was in the Direct proper.
Lynn...
So in the Nintendo Direct, they announced Lynn is going to be playable in Fire Emblem Warriors. This is big news because only characters from 3 games, the original, Awakening and Fates, have been seen so far. People thought there weren't going to be more characters from the original other than Marth. Nintendo of Europe, when announcing Lynn as part of their Direct promotion, accidentally left pictures of Kaida and Navarre from Shadow Dragon in their screenshot. It's not in the Nintendo of America version of the post. The post was taken down. Somebody got fired. Good job. Thanks. We now know what they're doing at the Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, we already know which ones. According to a box art link, we're also getting Celica, right?
Yes,
Anna?
Celica. Celica, Anna, Lynn was in that leak too. I think we're getting young Tiki from Shadow Dragon.
Which, I mean, we already knew about young Tiki and Anna, but they weren't, like, confirmed playable, that's all. I hope to fucking God they give Navarre, like, his, Fire Emblem Heroes costumes, because I really like those. It looks so much better than his actual in-game costume, in my opinion.
It might be unlockable.
Yeah, because, I mean, based on what we saw, what, fuck, why can't I word today? It looks like it's just going to be his actual in-game Shadow Dragon design, which is kind of dull. Also, you pronounced Kaida's name is like Kaida.
I don't fucking care.
I guess that's it. I guess we can
Yeah.
actually end this now.
We can actually end the Poodcast. I've got about 2 hours of audio to edit down.
See ya in another 3 months, folks.
See you later, space cowboy.
Toodaloos. Wait a minute, you guys. We forgot the most important announcement of the Nintendo Direct. Mario Party, the top 100.